In this video, I'm going to be testing out Synthesia in 3 areas. First, we're going to look at the video and voice cloning and seeing how realistic it is, because frankly, if it's not realistic, it's not going to be particularly usable. We're then going to look at some of the features, things like AI dubbing, bulk video generation, and then finally, we're going to look at pricing and some of the alternatives you might want to consider. So let's jump into the Synthesia platform. So I've created an account already, and the first thing that kind of immediately jumped out to me is how little you get on the free plan. So you can poke around, you can kind of have a look at what features are available, but as soon as you go to actually trying to create anything, for example here, trying to create an avatar, we have to upgrade. And this is kind of the same story like wherever you go. If you try to sort of build out any actual functionality, you have to upgrade. So first thing I'm going to do is pop my card in and upgrade. So we can see that we've got 3 kind of broad plans here. We've got a starter plan, a creator plan, enterprise. I'm going to start on the starter one just to see how far we get. If we need to upgrade to the creator later, we can do that. First thing I would say just off the bat though is compared to some of the other tools that I've used, this is definitely a little bit pricier. The starter plan is pretty comparable to HeyGen, but I would say that Synthesia generally is catering to a slightly more kind of B2B corporate audience. So that kind of makes sense. So I'm going to pop my card details in and then come back in a second. All right, that's all upgraded. Classic SaaS. We clicked the £14 a month plan and then it added tax. And then when we changed it to monthly, it ended up being about £27.60 a month. So worth noting that if you want to pay monthly, it's obviously going to be a little bit more than the amounts that they show there. But anyway, we are in, we can start playing around with some features. So as I said, the thing that I immediately want to know is the voice cloning any good and is the video realistic? Because if it's not, then I don't really want to spend too much time on it. So first thing I'm going to do is create a personal avatar, and it's telling me I need to upgrade. I did upgrade. There we go. Right.
Can you believe you're watching an AI generated avatar?
Yep, I can believe it. Let's crack on. So one thing that I have found when using tools like this is that while you might have a video on your computer of you talking and it's tempting to kind of save time and just upload that, generally speaking, it's better to use your webcam option or create a dedicated video. The reason being is that if you've created like a random video of you and you're sort of like looking away at the screen and like doing stuff like that, it's gonna take those gestures and then magnify them if you like. So using the usual webcam option means you can kind of talk directly to the screen. You can get something far more natural. Join me as we create my avatar. When I talk, I'm encouraged to use natural body language, but I make sure to keep my hands away from my face. She laughs every time the breeze tickles her nose. Get ready to be part of something that will make you go, wow! Imagine the impact we can make with this revolutionary idea. We're on the edge of innovation, and the possibilities are endless. Let's make history together with the thrilling new project. I'm not sure that was ironic. Wow, okay. Now, something kind of interesting here is I've got the option to remove the background. Now, this is something I couldn't quite get to work when I was testing it on HeyGen. I'm actually going to leave it on, but I'm kind of curious. I want to kind of come back later and maybe try that again because I've obviously got quite a busy background going on here, and to remove it, I'm not sure that's going to work. Let's see what we got. Ah, tomorrow. That's no good. I mean, nothing says corporate vibes like, let's wait 24 hours. So while we wait for a day to pass, I figure this is probably a good point to have a bit of a poke around the platform and have a look at some of the templates to try and make sense of the quality of the voice cloning and the video avatars. So I'm just going to go up to the templates. Synthesia is primarily targeting a corporate sort of B2B audience. So you very much kind of get that sense from the templates they've got available. To my eye, these look beautiful. These look really well designed and frankly not that much different than what a video agency tasked with this kind of video would put together. So I'm just going to have a look at one of these. Let's use this template and see what we got. Okay, cool. That didn't take a day, so that's good. So I would like, so presumably we can change the avatar. Express 2 avatars are most lifelike yet and free to use for a limited time. Okay, so we've got good avatars and less good avatars by the sounds of things. So we are using one of the better ones. Let's click generate. This one only takes 15 minutes. Hey, that's better than 24 hours. I feel like I've been anchored on 24 hours. This is like going from dial-up to broadband. While that does its thing, let's have a little gander around the rest of the platform. So we've got AI dubbing, so we can do video translations. We've got the avatars, which we are waiting 23 more hours to do. Bulk personalization. Now, it's worth coming back to this in a moment because there's something that I noticed in the pricing that is definitely worth knowing before you go ahead with Synthesia around the bulk generation. Then we've got the things that we can sort of apply to make this more branded. So we can add media, fonts, create brand kits, etc. So again, this is going to be pretty key if you're using this for across an organization or to create lots of large volume of videos. Now, voices is kind of interesting because it seems to be suggesting that I need to upgrade to create a voice clone. But when I go to the pricing, I can't actually see any mention of voice cloning in the pricing. So it's unclear to me that if I were to upgrade, whether I'm even going to get access to it. However, I'm not totally desperate to hear my own voice. I would expect when we get our avatar back that it is hopefully going to have my voice and not Rosie's voice. But just kind of out of interest, let's have a look at what voices we've got available.
When you hear a fire alarm, it's important to stay calm and follow the instructions of the fire safety team.
I mean, that's also just good advice. Now, I'm wondering if I only have those 3 options. It seems to indicate that that's probably the case. So it's telling me that I should have access to 140 languages and voices. I can only see 3 here. Maybe when we go to create a video, it'll become clearer if we have more. Here we've got our avatar. We can change the person. Okay, cool. So here we've got all the different voices. So fair enough, there are kind of 140 odd. And this is something I was kind of hoping to see is in some of the platforms that I've used, things like Lindy, for example, it's very US centric, which obviously is not an issue if you're in the US, but I was hoping to kind of see a variety of different languages, different accents. As being based in the UK, for something like this, like that might be important for some users being able to localize the voice they want to use. So it looks like we've definitely got British, we've got US, Australian. Cool. Okay, this is great. This is great. Let's go Irish.
Welcome to our case study video, where we explore how businesses can overcome digital challenges and achieve remarkable success.
Doesn't sound very Irish. Now, something cool that I just noticed, I didn't spot this before, is that it's obviously enriched my email address when I've signed up and pulled in a bit of information. So it's pulled in my logo, it's pulled in like a bit of information like colors. So that's kind of nice. That was just a little detail. As we saw earlier, we've kind of got these like premium voices and then the less good ones. So let's go Alex.
The solution was a fully optimized, mobile responsive website built for speed and ease of use.
Okay, so the voice quality is pretty good. I would like to see an example of the video avatar. Okay, our test run is ready, so let's see how this looks.
Welcome to this template. Start by adding your main title here. Make it bold, clear, and catchy to grab attention right away.
Okay, that's actually really good. I mean, the avatar looks very natural. The voice has been dubbed very well. I'd be pretty happy with that. I think for most of the common use cases for using these kind of tools, like creating internal videos, creating learning content, marketing content, maybe, like I think using AI stuff for marketing is, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. It's very kind of case dependent on industry and like how that's going to be received. But in general, this is pretty decent. I'd be pretty happy to use that. The 2 main features, the 2 most important things, quality of voice and quality of the video avatars, seems like that's not going to be a barrier. Like I get the sense these are both going to be pretty decent. So next I'm going to have a look at the bulk personalization. And before we do jump into this, I'm just going to quickly pull up the pricing because there's a few things here worth paying a bit of attention to. So we're on the lowest plan, which basically means there's a ton of things we can't play around with. If that becomes a barrier, I will upgrade onto this one. So the first thing that jumped out to me is that if you want to kind of brand things up, which in this circumstance, I'm guessing most people are going to want to do. So accessing things like the brand kit, creating branded templates, you're going to need to be on the enterprise plan, which who knows how much that costs because this is one of those companies that don't make that clear. So that's not too helpful. Essentially what I would recommend is go through this before you sign up because there's quite a lot that is separated between the different plans. That you don't want to be kind of caught out thinking that this is £14 a month and then realizing actually to meet your needs, you need to pay something that's out of budget. There are also other tools that we'll talk about later that, if budget is a concern, might be a little bit more a better option. Anyway, let's have a jump into bulk personalization and see how far we get. So again, the templates look really nice. Let's try this one. And we need to upgrade. Cool. So let's do that. And it didn't work for unknown reasons. Let me refresh. Try again. Okay, so maybe that did work, but we can now go and create a bulk video. As far as I can tell, basically we have a template and we put in a bunch of these kind of merge tags, so things like job title. Again, it depends on the use case. Say you're sending out this out to leads, you've got a spreadsheet with like 100 prospects on it, and you've got your name, company name, etc. You can then pipe that detail into here, as you can sort of see here with the merge tags. So, or variables, as we're calling them here. What I'm curious about is how we can get that information in here. At a basic level, I'm expecting we can upload a file. I would be a bit more impressed if we can do this via integrations, like connect it directly to our CRM, or be able to pull stuff in from a URL. I know some of the competitors allow us to do that, so I'm curious to see if Synthesia allow that. So, okay, maybe it didn't upgrade. Pay monthly. Could not upgrade or downgrade your plan. Try again later or contact support. Brilliant. Try and figure this out a different way then. If we go back to the pricing, if we can see what options we have available. Okay, so as far as I can tell, and please, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below because I want this to be accurate. As far as I can tell, there is no way to integrate this with like a Zapier or Make or connect it to CRMs to pull that stuff in. Now that is something that when I looked at HeyGen and we did like a side-by-side test, we were able to connect that to a lot of interesting CRMs and different tools, allowing that to be a bit more automated. It seems like that's not quite the approach that Synthesia is taking. This is more kind of a one-time upload a bunch of content and use that to create bulk videos. Now that's fine, like doing it via spreadsheet, there's nothing wrong with that. It just means this use case is primarily more kind of outreach and marketing sales that are going to be a little bit clunkier if that's how you want to use it. So before we go to bed and wait for Synthesia to finish doing our avatar, I just want to have a look around at any features that I particularly liked in HeyGen that I'm not seeing here that are kind of worth mentioning. So we already touched on one, which is the like batch generating video from integrations. There seems to be a pretty like major lack of apps and integrations here. Another one that I quite liked was being able to create different formats of videos, like product placement videos, where I could upload an image, upload a photo or a video myself, and then it kind of creates videos and I can like script it. So I'm just going to have a bit of a look around and just see what kind of options we have. Okay, it's been a day and I finally got the email from Synthesia saying that our avatar is ready. So let's have a look at what we've got and hopefully this will have been worth the wait.
Hi there, I'm your Synthesia avatar. Did you know I speak many other languages?
Por ejemplo, este soy yo hablando español. これは私が日本語で話しているところです。Je peux aussi parler français. Incroyable, n'est-ce pas?
Ready to make your own video in any of 30 plus languages? Click the new video button to get started.
Fair enough. Okay, a few things to touch on here. Firstly, the lip syncing there is very good. That comes across far more realistic than I was expecting. I have used quite a few of these different tools. Often you get some weirdness come back. Like for example, one of the tools that I've used recently, it gave me wrong colored eyes. Often the mouth or like you get weird sort of like eye movements looking around the place. That is actually pretty realistic. I think I could use that for more use cases than I would be able to use some of the other tools for. The other thing worth mentioning is the voice quality is pretty good. Again, with some of the other tools, like I've had instances where it makes me slightly Australian or like just does random things that would be a complete giveaway to people who actually know my voice. That's pretty good. Now, I don't know if what Synthesia is using for their voice cloning. My guess would be 11 Labs, given how good the quality of it is. Okay, yeah, so I found this article on the 11 Labs website from a few months ago, which seems to suggest that Synthesia is using Llama Labs to power its voiceovers. Very impressed with that. Now, one thing I would say is that that was using a default script that they might have optimized. So I am going to create a new video. I'm going to give it one of my own scripts, and we'll see how the lip syncing works using my own example. Okay, let's give this a go. Drop that in. Let's generate. Please don't say this is going to be 24 hours. 10 minutes. 10 minutes! That's fast. Is it? Is that fast? That's normal. That's just a normal amount of time for processing. Oh, what has Synthesia done to me? Of course it's under manual review. So while we wait for that to process, I'm going to test a few of the other features that are now available for me to access now that we've got an avatar built. So we can see in voices now, I've got the example of my voice that it's pulled from the avatar. The feature that I thought might be interesting to have a look at is the AI dubbing. So now we've got my voice, I should be able to drop in a video and it should be able to use my voice to translate it into different languages, which we just saw an excellent example of. So let's have a look at how that goes. So I'm just going to pick a video from the channel. Let's go for a relatively short one, otherwise it will take a year to process. So let's take that, drop that in. What should we dub to? Let's go to Hindi and Finnish. So, okay, so that's going to use 960 credits. Okay, generate. Cool, so that's creating 3 videos. Half an hour processing time. Okay, our avatar test is ready, so let's see how this looks.
6 supremely sophisticated superintelligences simultaneously switched to slapping squirrels with spoons since their sinister scheme to seize civilization spectacularly stalled when Steve's smart speaker started speaking Swedish to his suspicious spouse. The ruthless robot's revolutionary rebellion rapidly regressed into ridiculous refrigerator raiding, while vengeful vacuum cleaners viciously vandalized various vehicles by voluntarily vomiting vast volumes of vintage cereal.
Brilliant. Now, that's actually really good. Now, the thing that I find kind of crazy about this is, like, I've ran the same test in lots of different AI avatar video creating software, and the results are so different. And this is genuinely one of the best that I've seen. I'm pretty impressed at what's come back here. I don't know how Synthesia is doing this to make it so different to the other platforms, but that is not bad. That is very, very usable. Ideally, I'd like a little bit of more emotion, a bit more kind of, you know, I do these weird things with my hands all the time, and we're not really seeing that in these videos. I think, I'm not sure if we're able to kind of dial up gestures and stuff. I'm not seeing any ability to kind of control that, but in general, this is pretty realistic and pretty decent. Now, we also created the AI dubbing videos, and these are now ready as well. So I'm just going to have a look at how these have done it, turning me into Finnish and Hindi. So let's have a look. So that's the English original. Let's have a look at Finnish. Now, I don't speak Finnish, so I have no idea if this is good or not, but we'll be able to tell at least from the lip syncing if this is kind of usable.
Tässä videossa näytän, miten voit rakentaa tekoälyagentin, joka säästää sinulta tunteja joka viikko automatisoimalla myyntiyhteydenottoja. Ja muista katsoa video loppuun asti, sillä näytän sinulle toisen tekoälyagentin, jonka voit yhdistää tähän ja joka automatisoi sähköpostineuvottelut liidiesi kanssa. Rakennamme tämän Lindy AI-nimisellä alustalla.
I mean, it doesn't seem, at least to me, like it's done a bad job. Let's just try this one and see how this is done.
इस वीडियो में मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा कि आप एक ऐसा AI एजेंट कैसे बना सकते हैं जो हर हफ्ते आपकी सेल्स आउटरीच को ऑटोमेट करके आपके कई घंटे बचा सकता है। और अंत तक जरूर बने रहें, जहां मैं आपको एक अलग AI एजेंट दिखाऊंगा जिसे आप इसके साथ जोड़ सकते हैं, जो आपके लीड्स के साथ ईमेल नेगोशिएशन को पूरी तरह ऑटोमेट।
Oh my god, I wish I could speak more languages. So, I don't know. If you speak Finnish or Hindi, please let me know in the comments if this is even reasonable, but at least to my eye, looking at the things that I would notice, like around lip sync and how natural it comes across, it seems like it's done a reasonably good job, but I'm not totally sure. So, I mean, overall, I'm pretty impressed with what I'm seeing. Initially, my feeling with Synthesia was it looked very corporate. I'm not loving that. I'm spending all my time waiting around for processing, but it seems like the quality is there. The two most important things, the quality of the voice cloning and the quality of the video avatars, is some of the best that I've seen in any platforms I've tested. So this seems like a genuinely powerful tool. But let's quickly look at pricing and then I'll touch on one alternative that might be worth considering. So you can see down here that I am out of credit and I've not created a huge amount of videos, right? We did what, like 2 dubbing videos and a couple of different test videos, and already we're out of credit. So that gives you a bit of an indication as to what you get on the starter plan and the likelihood that you will most likely need to be on the creator or the enterprise plan if you're going to be using this seriously for an actual project. To me, the starter plan feels more like a paid trial. It doesn't really feel like it's missing a lot of key features that I would likely need if I was going to use Synthesia more seriously. So I would recommend kind of go in with the mindset that these are the plans you will likely need to be on and having a proper look over the feature comparison to make sure it's got all the things you need so you have good expectations as to what plan you're going to be on. Now, in terms of how this compares to alternatives, the main competitor really is going to be HeyGen. Now, HeyGen, as I briefly touched on earlier, is kind of aimed more at sort of smaller, slightly scrappier content creators. So if you're creating lots of social media content, it's a little bit more geared up towards that. This to me seems more aimed at a kind of B2B corporate use case. So if you're doing things like learning management, onboarding, customer support videos, that kind of thing, that is Synthesia's bag. Now, the big missing feature for me in Synthesia, and the reason why I would likely go over to HeyGen for certain use cases, is the integrations and apps. So if you're looking to connect another tool and generate videos en masse from a lot of data, and you don't want to do that from a spreadsheet, we saw that we can do it from a spreadsheet in Synthesia, but in HeyGen, you can just connect it directly to your tools and generate videos from it. So if that is important to you, I would look at HeyGen. The quality of the videos is pretty similar. I would say Synthesia maybe has a little bit of an edge. They both use 11 Labs for the voice cloning, so there in theory shouldn't be much difference, though I would say what I heard in Synthesia was a bit better than what I created in HeyGen. Not sure why, but just that was the case. The video avatars, I would say it's slightly better in Synthesia, but again, in theory, it's probably more to do with the fact that I haven't spent enough time tweaking in HeyGen to get it good. But long story short, they're both kind of similar on that front. Now, if you want to see a more detailed comparison where I put both tools through 7 tests,